Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And I have to tell y'all, be prepared. Be prepared on today's call to be in a transmission of love. And I pause so that you can feel that for a second in the invitation, in the doorway that Christine is leading us to. And no one can take your hand and take it to the other side of the door. It's up to you. It's your choice, but you can feel the resonance. You can feel truth. You can feel what is in your divine reception. And then you get to choose how you interact with those beautiful doorways that you have access to. And the doorways are just there to show an experience or demonstrate an energy that you have access to right now where you are. So it's not that you're doing anything wrong or haven't reached a particular place, but it's just illuminating more viscerally and consciously the love that you are and the love that is here to receive you. So it's going to be a beautiful call today. We may get into Q&A. I think that we will. But we're getting into higher consciousness through challenge and change. And again, it's love. It's always love, y'all. So Christine Laria, many of y'all know her, but a lot of y'all are new. Christine's a spiritual teacher, an intuitive guide, and a frequency healer who's here in service to fully awaken enlightenment of humanity. And I can read the rest of her bio, but I just have to tell you that it's just in Christine's presence that I've had a huge shift this last year, where she held and witnessed, after we'd worked together for quite some time, this huge expansion that happened within me. And it's such a privilege when I get to bring on someone to Beyond the Ordinary and share them with you that had such a profound impact for relating energy that allowed me to see what else is possible within me. So again, it's with great appreciation and so much honor, Christine, that I welcome you to today's call. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, John. I was just saying to you as we gathered into this beautiful space before beginning, I feel so happy to be here with you. It feels different. There's something really amazing. We've known each other a long time, and like every person listening, everything is an ongoing opening and expansion and shift and change. And there's some very special energy here today that I feel you and I are called to co-create and to guide and bring forward and actually to be with everybody. Like you summed it up already. It's always love. It's always about that love and that presence. That's the highest consciousness we embody. And there's something very special about the way the field is playing today and lighting up. And so thank you. I'm really, really happy to be here.
Well, let's talk about the way the field's presenting today and what's lighting up, because that's what's available. And we can be with that consciously, but also in receiving mode without having to try to pull it in. What's possible from there?
I'm feeling everybody that's listening and that's tuning in both live and on the replay. So what's in the field today? And that's a dynamic answer, just like we are dynamic. And so I'm going to be tapping in and tuning in. I know for me once here, and I'll start with that. And you noticed it right away. There's a tenderness and a softness, but also an invitation that's incredibly powerful. And this seems to me like the sort of the center of the lotus bloom at the moment is strength and fortitude in the midst of softness and tenderness and a lot of feeling. And that combination, which is like related to both surrender and choice. It's like surrendering to the tenderness and the intensities that are here, and this really strong, powerful choice of being what we are, anchored in love, and especially in peace. I really want to bring that word in because I feel that it's here. I feel that that is one of those doorways you were talking about. Peace and love, and our wisdom helps guide us there, but especially our presence. So if we just drop for a minute into those vibrations of, as I sit in peacefulness, and in this deep steeping of love that I am. And I'm watching the field now sort of shift and morph, and it's like this mandala of everybody's divine heart, and the colors begin to get more vibrant, and the movement begins to happen, and little stuck places that are sort of sticky and ouchy soften and give way. You know, we're just kind of priming it. It's like both noticing what's here and also inviting what we're interested in being and doing with this field. The other thing I'm really present to is, it came in strongly every time I would tune in for our time together, is the field of love through Tibetan masters. And I mean, they keep showing themselves, whether it's, and these are people that I didn't even know their names. I had to go figure out who they are. That's not my greatest gift. When someone shows themselves to me on the inner plane, I'm like, I don't know who you are. So I get to go on a little
I'm the
quest.
same way, yeah.
Like, and thankfully I have friends who are like, oh, that's so-and-so. I'm like, really, who's that? You know, I don't know. But I keep encountering these presences, which I feel are aspects of what we all are. And they're wise, and they're benevolent, and they're so they're so refined and also powerful, and they're so anchored in love. And I just recently came through COVID, and it was just so harrowing, and I kept watching all of these all these videos of being in the high Himalayas and traditions there, and I just kept steeping in this consciousness of that part of the earth, particularly in previous lifetimes of realities there. And it's so active, it's so deep in love, and it's so clear. It's like there's this clarity in the love there. And that pure presence of love that we are is actually so clear. And in the midst of a world that is swirling in like chaos so often, this place to land that's peaceful and clear, that's what's here today. That's what I think, oh yeah, that, yeah. I wonder if my internet just cut out. I'm there. I'm popping back in.
No, that's mine, I think. Or maybe it's yours. It's one of ours.
Okay, all good.
But what's showing up in the love, again, that peacefulness.
Yeah. So peaceful and so profound and so clear. It's such a clarity. So actually, I would just invite everybody right now to, if there's something that you would love clarity and that you're not actually feeling clear, and you'd like for it to be clear, and you'd like to be steeped in peace, let's bring that into the field that's already here, because everything's already here. What's in you is already here. What's meeting it is already here. So let's intentionally join this beautiful weave, this cosmic, it's like a cosmic mandala of peaceful love that's it's like the universe within, and bring the peace that's like, this is not peaceful, or this feels chaotic, or I really don't like that, and let it be touched by this field, because it's whatever that thing is that we bring, that we say, I would, this would like some love, please. This would like some love, please. It's become so tiny in the midst of this vast, vast field of love. How nice that it can return to its true place, which is, it's not overwhelm. It's not complete chaos or distraction. It's like, there's that thing that's very real, very challenging, and look at the vast love that it's met with. The other energy wants to be spoken right away. And I feel like you invoked it when you and I were speaking as we began sharing some of your experiences with me, and is Divine Mother. It's this incredibly powerful love that we often experience as archetypally mother. And that feels so much needed, like welcome, let's say, actually welcome with what's in the world right now, because it's huge. It's so like capable. It's so eternal. It's not convoluted in any of the things that Mother has or hasn't been for us as humans. It's so transcendent of that. And that's really what you were invoking. And I feel that in a big way. I watched the two of us. We just like weaved this this divine feminine mother love just came through like,
Yeah,
like it's so beautiful. So that's here too, I feel. Yeah.
I love that. I love the distinction between needing and welcoming, because I really feel that we're
Mm.
in a big transition
Mm.
of feeling like we're the saviors, or something has to be fixed for everything to be right. Oh, I love
Yeah.
it. Yeah, please take off with that. It's like me to say no more.
Oh gosh, it's so funny because it's actually kind of this weird both thing. Like we're needed, but what we're really needed is to just actually be what we are. There's nothing needed of us. There's nothing. There's no requirement for us to show up in a certain way or to do this thing or to help the world. Or I mean, I'm even reading through some of the things that are in the package. It has this that I wrote has this a bit of this like it's time. Yes, but really for you to be what you are, so you can receive it fully, and then the world is
Right.
just next in line. It's not this heavy requirement that so many people, whether you call yourself, a consciousness seeker or a way shower or a light worker or whatever it is. And I've watched that energy of obligation and requirement just distort the gifts that we are.
Yes.
It's like so screwed up. And it's so of the weird distorted masculine, interestingly, and the divine masculine. I'm like, thank God, I that's one of my favorite qualities in life and in myself. But that one of must, should, need in order to get to where we all have to go. That's that distortion, right? And remember that shadow is always a distortion of light. It's actually this distortion of what the light is. So for us to go, well, what if the world doesn't need me? But there's all of this that I'm interested in welcoming, and that the world is gifting me with, and I'm welcoming, and the world is welcoming what I am.
Hmm.
Totally different.
Right.
Yeah, that one's a big weird hook. It's just such a big weird hook. And how many of us have sat with the teachers who are like, and just feel the world if you don't show up to do what you're here to do, and you're like, oh.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
It's funny because this last week, and it showed up today in a private session that I had with someone else that they guided me through, which was beautiful. But I kept getting these images and these messages of an awareness of these patterns that we've set ourselves on. And I'm looking, even as people talk about recession and what's happened economically, it's a 20-year cycle. It's a 20-year cycle. And you can see it's a repeat of the 20-year cycle. Always. Sometimes it goes between a 20 and 30-year, but it's always that 20 and 30-year cycle. And it's fascinating. It's like, oh, hold on a second. Okay, I can witness this. I can witness the cycle, but I can be outside of it. I can remove myself from the karma, the dharma, which is what was covered through this other session, which that session was amazing and it brought awareness to me. But how we can actually witness ourselves outside of those patterns.
Oh yeah.
And this very motherly, buoyed energy, and in that, really leave the distortion behind and be in this place of peace, the Himalayan energy, wherever it is that's like, wait, hold on a second, there's something else that doesn't run on the obligation, expectation type of energy. And the true legacy that we get to leave behind isn't the legacy of what we created for humanity, but the legacy that we created for ourselves.
Yes. So gosh, so much in there. Like that's actually something that I've been really looking at that we'll talk about later, because it's in the package of taking a longer view, and not just this lifetime. Like here's what we have to get through and reach this shift for myself or for the world or anybody else, but a much longer view. And I love that, because it actually lets us all relax, and it does bring us back to now, and it brings us back to being and to loving. And the other piece, when you're talking about that motherly energy, that's nurturing when we look at the larger cycles. And I remember my mother, when I had babies, saying, oh, well, they're just having their fussy period. This is their fussy time, and they're fussy. And I'm like, okay, and little bitties, they cycle through fussy time, right? And then they come out and they're all happy, and they cycle back. And it's like humanity has fussy time, and we have like collapse and disarray and chaos, and it's a big fussy time. And then, we keep moving. And it does seem like those cycles, yes, they have their linear pattern. And then also within that, they also feel like they're getting a little tighter wound and a little more frequent. There's that going on too. There's sort of like patterns within the patterns. The other thing that I came across just the other day was somebody who, I think it was the guy who's actually, he's one of the heart math researchers, and had noticed the correlation between sun flare activity and human activity, and what happens in terms of human events, actually, meaning things that are both really great and things that are really challenging, and they correlate almost precisely to a T with these cycles in
Wow.
the sun, and you just, again, looking at the larger pattern. And so to frame our own fussiness or the world's fussiness, I mean, just to give it sort of a sweet thing, right? Because the mother's like, it doesn't say everything is so wrong with my child because they're fussy. No, you're just having the fussy period. It's same with us. Do we go, oh, the shift isn't happening, or the ascension's falling apart, or I'm not embodying self-love because this thing is, no, we're probably having a cycle.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and this is really beautiful, because if we can just practice the consciousness of that awareness, again, if we can practice the consciousness of that awareness, we will no longer condemn ourselves for our previous cycles. We no longer make ourselves wrong and try to correct something that we did that was perceived the way that someone else didn't receive it well, or that we thought that we had to show up. And again, the distortion starts disentangling itself, because really you're in this cycle of living rather than the cycle of trying to recreate, to make something better based on an expectation or an obligation that we were taught.
Yeah. And in that always is talk about, what are we welcoming then? A nice deep breath. Compassion, you're mentioning that. Like, we are compassionate for ourselves. Oh yeah, that part was really hard, and I was pretty well struggling there. Okay. Or now, or whatever it is. And what we're really, I feel like what you and I are speaking into here is our relationship with what's happening. And what if we reframe what it means to be in a continuing state of ascended consciousness, which you named. Higher consciousness is always love, right? And peace is right up there with it. I mean, it's right there in the old David Hawkins model. And there's a reason why anger and grief and rage and all that jealousy is down. It's dense, it's heavy. Yep, that's at the bottom of the lower vibration. We know all this stuff. Higher consciousness means peace and love. It's not like just like, oh, I really really understand all about, the whatever star systems or the ETs or whatever. I mean, yeah, that's all wonderful. But what we're really talking about doing is being, not understanding something or even just having our information, but being. And so I find that the most sustained high consciousness is about my relationship with what's happening. Not, am I having a fussy day, but what's my relationship? What's my relationship of consciousness with, and of presence, of, oh, I'm here. And there's in presence is that ongoing, like, Om of the universe that's just humming. I love you. I am love. You are love. All is love. And it really is not a lofty sort of feel good idea. It's this truth of presence. And if that is in relationship with whatever is unfolding, power.
Oh my God, it's so beautiful. Again, there's a lot of words. Well, there's beautiful words being spoken on this call, but there's a lot of energy that's moving through as well. I don't know if y'all can feel it, but it's really potent. And again, it's that maternal type of energy. It's just feeling so strong today, but it's that and then some, and then some, which is really interesting. Today's conversation was about challenges and the rise of consciousness from the impetus of those challenges. And I really want to get into a little bit of some of the chaos that we may be feeling consciously or not, that may be still running in the background. And there's factors that tend to feed that chaos. And some of the big ones are fear and control.
Yeah.
And so how is it that you work with people? What is it? And again, this conversation does at these transmissions, it's an invitation of a field that you hold. of the rising frequency that we can begin to have or be in the oceanic consciousness of that higher vibration. How is it that you help your clients, people that you work with, get to that space and actually start having a relationship with fear and control so that they can start to transcend it?
Yeah. So it's important, I feel like, first, interestingly, like reason and understanding are kind of right there on that vibrational chart leading to love. And while many people have heard me say before, understanding isn't shift, it's not peace, it's understanding, it's actually really helpful. So for me, understanding that fear is rooted in that need to be safe and not experience pain for us or someone else or the world in general, to understand that control is an expression of fear. And it's also an expression of the distortion of the power over paradigm of the victim perpetrator model. Okay. So fear and control are rooted in an essential feeling of needing not to hurt and needing not to die, or to have the illusion of power over others. Okay, because there's a lot of that going on, and there's a lot of fear being, God, there's a lot of fear being like not spoon fed, it's more like trough fed to humanity, like for decades now.
Yeah.
I mean, just like, I look at it, I'm like, really, we're still doing that one, and it's still just like running the thing. Oh my gosh.
It's the pattern. It's the pattern.
It is the pattern.
There it is, right.
Yeah. All right. So, so what do I do with that? How do I guide people with that? Gosh, my life has been a clinic in this. It's been a clinic in the power over paradigm and in the control. I was just like the world's biggest control freak. I truly was. And then when I got that awareness, like, okay, if control were going to work, then control freaks would be happy. They'd be like the most illumined, happy, free people. And we know that's not true. So the first piece of it is recognizing that there's an essential lie or falsehood in those models of fear and control. And that is that especially with control, and as we bump up into it, but also in ourselves, because really what else can we affect? Is that feeling of, if I can control this, I can keep it from being painful again. And that is actually illusory. So what that guides me to, and what I guide people then that I work with is, well, then what is it that we're really wanting not to experience again? What's the pattern or the loop that we're wanting not to experience again? Oh, that sense of abandonment. Oh, feeling completely disempowered. Oh, feeling alone. Oh, feeling there's nowhere safe to be. Oh, feeling nobody loves me, or I won't ever be seen for who I am. Okay, anything that's coming up in us in fear or control is because we're coming back to this basic thing of, I need it to be okay. Okay. And everything then that we're working with in that is external. I need it to be okay. I mean, maybe if this person likes me, maybe if I find the right partner, maybe if I, whatever, it tends to be externally referenced. So first step, always, like if you're in fear or you're trying to control something, just scan your body and go, where do I feel this? Where do I feel this? Or if you feel somebody's trying to control you, because it's going to be the same energy. Where do I feel this? Where, and maybe it's right in your solar plexus, or maybe it's in your gut. For some people, it's going to feel like it's right in their throat. Like, oh yeah, keep quiet. There's a big one there. Sometimes it's in the heart. And then say, thank you, body. I got it. Thank you. I got it. You don't have to carry it anymore. And we're going to invite that energy then to come and be with us, in front of us, and we're going to be present to it. We're going to be the part. We're going to be the part that is love with that. Best not to do that little part of us to little part, small self, fear to fear, in other words. How do we do that? We notice. We notice there's part of us that's watching it. There's part of us that's the observer. And this is just really the beginning of this process, because different things are required at different times. Sometimes, depending on where we are in our consciousness or what the thing is we're looking at, that is all that's needed, is just to observe it. to be completely present to it. No requirement, no judgment, no need to clear it, heal it, fix it, change it. Presence. Sometimes that's all that's needed. Sometimes that is the whole thing. Other times it just doesn't go away. It's asking for more. And in that case, I find it's asking for a participatory relationship of some kind of active love with that energy, but not from, got to get rid of you. Actually, just from, maybe it's dialogue. You know, you mentioned that beautiful article you wrote about, you'll sit down with your 5-year-old and ask questions. Well, if there's fear, likely it will feel like a little one. Well, then dialogue with it. You know, then we bring in tools and processes. And so for me, there isn't ever just a single way to be with anything. It's about, again, what is our relationship with it and what is being asked of us in that moment. I remember being with a particular teacher I was with for some time years ago. And we were all sitting in this group, and somebody asked a question, out came the answer. Somebody else asked a question, same question, a little later, different answer. And this woman who's looking for answers goes, "You just gave a completely different answer to the same question." And the teacher says, "Well, yeah, different person, different circumstance, different everything." So the way that we proceed is through this deep self-awareness and presence to the energies within ourselves and in our lives. Is this asking for really direct hands-on, maybe processing, you know, presence work? Is it something that I actually just completely surrender into and do nothing with? There's all kinds of ways to go. That's like the navigational roadmap that's not an actual path, because it's going to show you what lights up in what direction as a guide, but not necessarily a prescribed set of steps. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I love that awareness and that empowerment for our community, because so many times, like, oh, give me the answer, or give me the formula, or do this, and then I can feel like a relief that there's somehow some type of solution for this thing that just keeps gnawing at me, that it just won't go away.
There is relief. Yeah. And intimacy is part of it. And that thing you just said, it's like sometimes people say, well, can you guarantee this outcome, you know, from this class or from this session or from this whatever? And I'm like, absolutely not, because that would mean that you are handing me all of your power. You're putting me in charge and in control of what's going to happen for you. Like, who wants to do that? Aren't we all interested in our own like empowerment? So it's, I'll teach you to fish. I may give you some fish as we learn fishing. You know, those are the tools. Those are going to be the processes. My interest is in your freedom. My interest is actually in you not ever needing me again. And not that you need me, but like that I'm a guide you're done with, you know, or like, you're like, actually, all it is my life is in freedom and flow. And I know how to be in a state of presence and love, no matter what's happening. Great. Go forth and thrive. You know?
Right. Yeah.
Bring more of it. Just be it. I don't care if you do anything with it in the world. I'm not requiring that either. I wouldn't lay that yoke on you. I would just say, great, be what you are. Everybody benefits.
So right. Yeah. Again, we can lead people to the doorway, and it's what you decide to do with that is perfect.
Yes. And empowering, because it's your choice. I mean, even recently, I had somebody say to me, this is a family member, and it's come up because of a situation with an in-law. She goes, well, I just feel I have no power in this and I have no choice. And yet we're always making choice, even if it's to align ourselves with somebody else's choice. That's a choice. And that's incredibly powerful choice. I mean, because it creates a whole set of outcomes. And that's what the power of creation is. It's not about it being right. It's about it being powerful because it creates.
Knowing how powerful creator you are, and that every choice you make leads you down a particular direction, and not having judgment for it. But the more we're conscious as to why we're making the choice, the more that we can learn to balance the polarity of the choices to land in the center, which is, again, a conversation I had earlier in my session, which is so beautiful. And I'm so glad that we get to bring this into this conversation. The more that we're aware and are able to tune into the balanced choice, not because we have to, but because we're aware, it becomes a loving choice, in effect, for all eventually.
Yes. And for me, that's about resonance alignment. Yeah. So, we're bringing in all these really powerful powerful pieces actually that I'm playing with in new creation as we speak. And so there's this love, right? And the love that we are, and loving presence with things, and actually just total presence of unconditional love, right? And this presence. And then there's this alignment, which is dances in the center between the love that we receive and be and live and visit on ourselves as humans, loving choices, loving relationships, not throwing ourselves under the bus, knowing our boundaries. All that's love in its human way. And then there's this unconditional love of presence. And then there's the alignment of making the choice from all of that. And it's powerful. Yeah.
And I wanted to share something with y'all. I feel like it needs to be said, so I'll say it. Like when you're sharing that with your family member that feels like they didn't have a choice. Mm-hmm. And of course the choice is there. And what's running in the background is the fear of what you might lose by making a choice. Yeah. And we have to, it's like, if you ever feel stuck, dig a little deeper, allow that beautiful mind to work for you. Yes. It's like, what am I afraid to lose if I make this choice? Am I losing security? Am I losing love? Am I losing connection? Am I losing safety or perceived safety, whatever it is? And to really understand where that's coming from, so that you're aware that you are powerful in making a choice that either is going to serve you, even if you feel stuck, or that perhaps that isn't, because you just weren't aware of what was really running your choices.
Yeah, I thank you. Gosh, that's so powerful and spot on. And I'm going to bring forward like the specific personal example story, which is that with my daughter, and due to a perception that her husband has about my partner, it's just created like lack of opportunity, almost like a complete shutdown of so much relationship. And there it is. It just is there. And that she was the one saying, I just feel like I have no power. I have no choice, because her choice is to align with her husband. And I said, I think that's incredibly powerful. And it's actually right aligned with what you value and what you choose. And I said, and I feel like it's your aligned choice, even if it means it costs you and I a relationship. It's the very thing you were just speaking into. It's like the fear is, and she even said, she goes, but this is my mom. Okay, so we're like to the core of it, right? We're talking divine mother energies. Wow. And now we're right to the core of what happens to a mother-daughter relationship in a circumstance that has no room and sets a certain parameters. And you just go, what can we do? Any one of us, what can we do except be aligned with our true sense of knowing, and that resonant, yes, that's what I was saying, that PowerPoint is, here's love and all of its choices in the human way, and here's the presence, this transcendent, eternal, everything really is totally fine that we are. It's also fine, whatever it is. And then here's the playing out of all of that in this amazing human body. And yes, things are actually at risk. Things are like, it impacts our relationship. It's very real in that way. And then the thing for me, and again, this is what I always come back to, because I don't know how people navigate without this, which is that longer view, and that knowing that at the soul and presence level, at the presence level, the only thing happening is just divine perfection of creation and experience. At the soul level, it's a very interesting mystery play where everybody has their script and their role, and somebody's playing the good guy and the bad guy, and that's all playing out. And at the personal level, you're feeling it. You may be grieving, you may be angry. All of that's happening at once. So for me, I don't try to exclude any of it and go, oh, well, that's the illusion, or, that's not, let's just go over here. Nope. But I will bring this, that place we were talking about. I will bring that massive, cosmic, expansive, spacious heart energy of presence and being to the divine mystery play, soul level, to the personal level. Sometimes I'm better at that, sometimes not so good. That's where there's always the learning curve. I feel like as presence, I'm not really learning anything. We are it already. As soul, we're playing out in the interesting roles. And as person, there's always an unfolding of mastery and of learning and of deeper opportunity Where can I welcome? What does love say here? What does love choose? And knowing, okay, that may mean I lose some quote love or safety or relationship, but you know what? I can't lose that. I guess that's the thing I want to say, is that as we be with all that we are, we can navigate with more peace because we realize those things are finite. We lose them all by the time we leave the body. It's not there anymore. It's different.
It's so different. And you're reminded, I want to, we're getting into some Q&A in a little bit, y'all. So hold on for that. This is so fascinating. but I want to share, this reminds me of, again, a situation that I had with my brother for quite some years. And it was different things playing out. Good guy, bad guy, unspoken resentments and all these things. And it's like, okay. And while it didn't feel good to be the receiver or even to participate in some of the things that are coming, there were the human experience. But what we can do with all that, we can always hold the door open for that love. So the doors don't have to close. When people say you got to set boundaries, I say, no, you have to set standards, because boundaries create walls that are hard to penetrate.
Brilliant.
When you have standards, and really it's like, this doorway out of love, out of my relationship, out of my care for you, out of this connection that we have, always remains open at this level.
Yes.
And these things that are playing out, whether I choose to play in them or not, this door always remains open. And so it's always that invitation, again, that longer term view that you were saying, holding that in your awareness. And that can be in personal relationship, with finances, with our health. It really, I mean, you're hitting at such a beautiful core of the truth of what's possible. And as we're feeling time accelerating, really the distance between those two are getting that much shorter, which is fascinating.
It's true. And yes, and the door is always open. And it may mean that due to my personal boundaries and honoring of my human self, there's a no to this part, and that's okay too. And interestingly, those two things may feel like they're completely mutually exclusive, but they're not. We're talking about different vibrational planes of reality all happening at once, and they have different rules. And so the human actually is going to have the boundaries and the no, and actually, whatever, and all the things how that plays out specifically for this lifetime. And it's a whole different set of parameters than in the field of oneness. It truly is, So
fascinating. So fascinating. All right, y'all, we're going to get into the Q&A in a little bit, and it's a special offer in a little bit as well. So if you guys want to ask your questions, raise your hands or type your questions in the chat box. We're going to have some great comments that are coming in. I do want to touch on this aspect of how we're evolving through loss, how we're evolving through these periods of mourning and grief. And you talk about it. It's in your special offer, this period of enlightened loss. And I love it if you can just articulate and go a little bit deeper on that for us, because I feel that's such an important conversation right now.
You bet. So as you know, John, and many people in my community know, I've literally called this the year of the death zone, because it started with this relational shift with my daughter, and that was August, and my father died in October. My beloved fur companion died 2 days later. My mother died in April, and then my landlord, who was family to me here, we call it Ohana, as you know, in Hawaii. I mean, just a really dear to my heart person, and he died in June. And so it's been so much loss. And what I was aware of for myself, and as always, our lives are these particular lives can be not only our teachers, but it's almost like our creation zone for how we can be more love in the world. And as a person who does what I do and bees what I be, that's always what's coming through. So I was really with that grief and that loss. And again, I noticed over and over again, there is no shortcut or bypass around the human aspect of grief and of loss and change, because we are physical creatures, we are animals, we are wired in connection with each other. And when somebody is no longer in the physical, or a circumstance that's been precious to us, maybe it's a home where you lived, or a community that you've been part of, and that somehow is different because of divisiveness, you're not welcome now, or whatever the thing is, right? These are very real physiological things. So there's a lot that we can do for our physiology through cycles of loss. And many people are experts on that. And I tapped into many things and I have my own practices. So to me, part of it was tending the human animal, the body, what's needed by my nervous system and what's needed for my physicality. A huge part is gentleness. And this is why this is higher consciousness, right? Because it's all rooted in all the many aspects of love. It's loving to be patient with yourself. It's loving to nurture yourself in how you need. It's loving to not make a requirement that you be different than you are. Like, oh, I should be done with this, or I wish I didn't feel this way. Okay, so that's at that level of human love that really needs to play out. And then the other piece that the higher consciousness was, it's really anchored in what our relationship with death is. Because death is just this huge thing that's a biggie. Like the worst thing that could happen is that somebody would die. And that's not true for me. Not for them. It might be the worst thing that could happen to me if somebody that I love dearly dies, but it's not the worst thing that could happen for them. So that reframes that for me into, well, there's this natural progression, and my mother would always say, death is a change of address. So one of the things that I do is I very actively open the doors of communication with whatever I've lost. That person, that animal, that situation. I move into it on the inner plane because that's actually where the connection continues. It doesn't stop. That's where that other level of reality is true. I actually can't call my mom up and have a conversation on the phone, but I can talk to her on the inner plane. So it's yes and, or it's both. It's like, yep, it's gone and it's not gone. And to what that does for me, just as a human being, is it deepens that thing that you referenced, which is practicing our consciousness. My consciousness is expanded because I'm motivated to have contact with the people even more that are gone. I'm interested in feeling what they are now that they're no longer that person. I'm interested in opening into that space. I affirm that part of my grief is because I have a misconception of loss. Because what's that?
Oh, no, go ahead. I apologize. Go ahead.
That's all right. Part of it is like this misconception. They're gone. Yes and no. And so let's focus on the reality that there is no loss. All of that. Well, that blows your mind. It does not replace grief. Grief is still going to be there. Sometimes I'm like, I wish I could talk to my mom. However, I'm interested in being with that, in relationship with that in such a way where there's no loss. And so that's real too. Well, that's like incredibly expansive and joy-filled. So it becomes a multidimensional approach that doesn't exclude anything, but that always affirms the greatest reality, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It does. And that loss and that transition of it also invokes in us, for me, in my experience, this cracking open of a softness and a tenderness that lives within us that's actually so firmly rooted in the truth of that state of consciousness that we're looking to be in relationship at the deepest core of our level, at the deepest level of our core, excuse me.
Yes, the gentleness, the loving kindness, the soft, compassionate. And that's so powerful too, right? That's that piece, that energy that we started with, which is like, it's so soft and it's so tender and it's so strong. Yeah.
Oh my God, this is so wonderful. Can y'all feel the energy running today and what's available here and how it's moving again in this beautiful communion of all of us together here in love, listening on the replay, expanding in that. And it's truly just, it's like this beautiful fragrance that the collective can pick up as it passes the garden, smells the roses. It's so wonderful, the vision that I'm getting of that. Y'all, I'm going to get into Q&A.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm getting into Q&A. It's a couple of people with hands raised. I'm going to promote you to panelists. There's some questions coming into the chat box. And Christine, I do want people to participate in your special offer. The live courses and these phases that you're taking us through, I think are just, your awareness and your personal experience navigating through this is just what makes this such a rich and immersive and accessible wave of consciousness that people can really just, again, get into being with themselves. This is which is being created on the show now and more. So everybody, the link for Christine's special offer, it's in the chat box. April typed it into the, I'll call it the bottom of the chat. I'm left-handed, so that might be backwards for some of you. But you'll figure it out. It's in the chat box. April, you'll say, no, it's right there. Or you can open up a new browser and type in beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Christine28, and you'll be able to go to that same very special offer page. And I've been saying this a lot this season because it's important, because I don't think I've been hitting home on this enough or last seasons. These are really special offers, and they're special offers. Yes, the speakers that are special. I mean, they're the consciousness and the energy, the transmissions, the connection and community are really beyond the ordinary. They really are special. And we also label them special offers because they're the price point on it, the accessibility because of that, the generosity in which they're offered with as far as quality of what you're receiving, and how you're working with a collective that are also part of the Beyond the Ordinary tribe and our speakers tribe together, and what that does to ignite the field. That the price points on these are extraordinary, as are the energy transmissions, and they truly are special offers, and we call them that for that particular reason. And it's with that, if y'all are on the page, Christine, if you can guide us through the special offer that you brought forward for Beyond the Ordinary.
Yeah, I put this new live series together for this call, for this audience, for your community to experience, because it feels like we have quite a magic that we create when we do these live events. And again, of course, it grew out of my own life, higher consciousness through change and challenge. And that's a live masterclass series, 5 weeks. The first part of it is a new activation, the power of love. And it's really everything we're talking about. It's like that multidimensional, multifaceted aspect of what unconditional love truly is. And that activation is for that. And that one actually is still percolating in me. It was like shown to me and I'm like, wonderful, because I want to receive it. And I'm not the author of it. I'm the vehicle, right? I mean, that's truly how that works. So that is just like, and that little lava rock is up on Mauna Loa, way up high. I took that picture, and that's the volcano that I live on. So powerful, amazing. And of course, lava is like it's the power of creation, has the absolute potential of everything in it. And it's so amazing. So we begin with that. And then we have these other modules that just showed themselves to me as ways that we're challenged. And one of them is in not feeling and losing our center of peace. So we have a module for that. And we have a module for everything is now, because I keep seeing with people and with myself too, like that was that soul level work that I did for with my daughter and her husband. I mean, I got this whole read on the past lives with him. And I was like, how interesting. And when we can see some of the challenges that we're facing now from this context that doesn't even make any sense in the current circumstances, but again, in that bigger view, it's like, so we're going to really get into that and open up the avenues, again, that navigational guide for doing that. Yes, grief and loss and death, because that's been a huge one. I know so many people who have lost loved ones, and lots of people, or life has shifted so dramatically. There's been like a loss of innocence. I mean, I feel like a lot of people can relate to that with the events of our world. There's sort of been this loss of hope and innocence. And so that being in the piece that we were talking about, a way to be with death and with loss, which is always about complete honoring with compassion and keeping also ourselves firmly, it's not even rooted, it's almost like creating awareness, knowing we're creating from the cosmic mandala of life that we are. That helps us navigate that in a much more empowered way. And then the living your purpose is that, okay, so if I'm looking at just getting everything accomplished in the next 20 years, that might be a little short. So we're looking at purpose as a broader, across lifetimes, across timelines, expansion. What is your alignment in this now moment, you personally, with what you feel aligned with? I was talking with a client just the other day because she loves to study consciousness and she loves to take different courses, and people will pressure her and say, well, what are you going to do with that? Like, how are you going to take that and again, be of service in the world? If we are aligned with what we are, that is joyful, that is free, that is powerful, and that is loving. And I guarantee you it will impact the world. And so it can look like anything, and it will be great for us too, right? So it's about really getting into that larger timeline of the resonance and alignment, yes, now, and how that moves beyond and the overarching, so that we can relax and we can also thrive. Yeah. So that's the core of the live offering. I put in the Pure Potential series into this. Because it's so powerful and it's going to help everything. It's actually 9 days of activations, and it's, you know this one, right, John? And it's pure energy, and it hasn't been in a package before ever. So, and people like still who have received it before, they're like, oh, I'm revisiting this whole series again. It's so helpful. Oh, I'm just listening to this certain day over and over because it's the energy activation that I need for what I'm with in my life right now. It's really goes through the 11 primary dimensions of Earth, all of the chakras, various light rays in their colors. And it's like it anchors us in various dimensional frequencies so that we can navigate. Again, like, well, do I need to drop down into the second dimension right now, which is a really soothing vibration, by the way, not dense. I mean, slow vibration, really helpful for the nervous system. We tend to have some dimensional discrimination, right? So anyway, it's there. It's really powerful. I love it. Yeah, it's awesome.
This is powerful. Yeah, I didn't know, I wasn't aware that you included this one in here. This is amazing.
It is amazing, actually. And then we really cap it all off with what I see that's just needed right now so much, which is helping our nervous systems. And that's a different set. Those are recordings. There's a masterclass that has some really powerful processes and tools that you can return to over and over when your nervous system gets jacked by what's going on in the world, because it's probably going to. And then there's also a beautiful sound alchemy that helps with that. And something else I've never done, which is making a heart field transmission available indefinitely. I only have ever done those for 3-day replays. This one said, let this just be here and let people come back over and over again. So,
wow.
Yeah, there's tons. And I'm excited because it feels like there's a lot, but it's not overwhelming. Because yes, there's this live series, but you can also go to that activation series that are recordings. And you might sample one of those, like one certain one of them for a week, each week for several weeks, or you might zip through it all in 9 days. People love that too. It's like just such a bliss, explosion. So you get to follow your own rhythm and your own knowing, and then it's there. And the energy's live on all of those. So it's awesome.
Oh, this is a fantastic offer. I want to add a little bit of emphasis also. And again, your voice and just your being is a pure transmission. But your transmissions through sound alchemy are quite profound. It bypasses the mental chatter or anything else and just goes straight into the purity of what is. And so I want to bring awareness into what an alchemical symphony is available through the sound alchemy that you bring in. It seems like everything that you put your intention in vibrates in that harmonic in one way or another.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'd love to share some sound for this group before, maybe at the end or something too, just because, yeah, why not? Yeah.
Let's do it. We'll get into the sound. Let's do that at the end of the call so we can stay in that space for the rest of the evening or day, depending where y'all are listening to the replay. But y'all, for the special offer, it's valued at over $444. And I can tell you that the 9-day series in it by itself is profound. And to have this to listen to be with, and to allow the expansion, the expansiveness of you to be in this relational dynamic, to get into intentional creation, again, not for obligation or expectation, but for pure presence. Christine, that's when we just walk around life just laughing at everything because everything's happening for us. I mean, that's when we get that, it's just, you can't help but to.
Yeah.
you just can't, it's like even the losses and everything, there's just this underlying currents, but of course. And yes, and let me take this all in, and it's all so beautiful. Even in the pain or in the joy, in the darkness or in the light, it's all just that expression of the divine showing itself in the multifaceted way that it can, and being at the center of the intentionality of that creation. It's just, that's, the world changes. It can't help but it changes through us, through our eyes. And then it's possible for anybody else who wishes to be in that energy with us. Again, this is wonderful, y'all. It's $197. There's a 2 payment option, 30-day money back guarantee. I always forget to offer those just because we want to make it a no-brainer. And I hope you take advantage of it. Truly, it truly is a special offer. Thank you, Christine.
You're welcome.
Okay. So y'all ready for some Q&A? I'm going to promote some of y'all who have there's a couple of you that have your hands raised as panelists. So I'll promote you here in a second. But what I'm going to do now is take a question that came in from the audience in the chat box. Let me see. Oh my God, there's so many great questions coming in. Okay, so we're going to Taylor first. So Taylor writes, something I really need support with is navigating my fear regarding my health due to my choice to get the COVID vaccination. And by the way, I'm okay saying COVID. Yeah, it wasn't an aligned choice and done out of fear of losing security. I know my fear around it will only make it worse. So how can I come back into alignment with the integrity and love I have for my body's wellness after making a decision not in alignment?
Okay, thank you, Taylor. So right now, the gaze of loving compassion is on you and your choice. And this is true for everyone and anyone who regrets a choice, feels that they've made a wrong choice, feels that something should have been different, or in particular, I've harmed myself by this choice I made. Okay, there are just messages coming through, Taylor, so I'm going to just let that happen. In love, we would like to remind you that you are pure creation. This idea that you carry of wrongness is truly that. And the energy that you speak of fear, is also a very real thing in your world. We ask that with us now you turn your attention to what you call this fear. We are in loving presence and witness of this fear. It is met with the pure power of love. This love speaks to every cell of your body. This love is not limited by linear timelines. This love changes past and future. This love recognizes that all is now, including the time where you did not make that choice. And most of all, this love sees to the root of the fear, which is when you have been punished for making a choice. We would like you to know there's no punishment for your choice. We would like you to know the consciousness that you are now, the space of presence, is different than when you were punished for your choices. And in this cascade of love, There is the perfect tone for the root of your fear, and it lands softly and gently in the space of your heart. And from there it grows. And it grows with grace and with power, so that you receive the loving compassion of this tone of love. As it radiates through your body, it also returns to you 1,000-fold, this note of love. It sings to you, "You have never been wrong. You have only hurt. You have never been wrong, though you have known pain. In this now moment, all love is here. Your path is clear. Your path is clear. The way is open. Love leads the way. Bring the fear here, it is welcome. Cry the tears here, they are welcome. How much can you love every choice you've made? For that is what is here. All love. So Taylor, in the pattern of fear and punishment, of wrongness, there's likely more for you to be with in presence of love. And this transmission will be here to return to, should you wish to receive the reality that is beyond what the mind knows, the reality that's beyond the conditioned mind that fears punishment and relates everything through cause and effect, because there are realities far beyond that. That's the energy that is here for you to tap into in the transmission, and for everyone, for anything that that feeling of wrongness or a choice gone wrong, because we always bring in a different octave of energy to heal the thing that we're looking at. We don't move laterally in that. So there's the presence of love for you to be with in that fear, within yourself, gentleness, kindness, compassion, all those things John and I have been speaking into. And then there's this energy that's another octave that you can just bask in and receive. Like, why not do it all? Yeah, thank you for bringing that forward.
Mm. Mm. Thank you, Taylor, and thank you, Christine. Wow. As you were singing, I got the chills, and I had to adjust my shoulders, and as I did, I got a chiropractic adjustment.
Awesome.
Flow of energy that was coming through, which is so beautiful. That's amazing. Truly, wow, how wonderful. Whew. All right, let's go to a live caller now. Michelle, if we can get you to unmute, please, and welcome.
Hello, thank you, John and Christine. Taylor, that was wonderful for all of us. Thank you. I have been a disabled lady for a while, and that was part of my journey, and it's wonderful. However, my higher self said to me recently, get out of that wheelchair and walk. So my higher self said to me, look, release these benefits because they're holding you back. The benefits I get for being in the wheelchair, said jump or be pushed. So I chose to jump, and I'm sitting in this place now thinking, well, it's wonderful, but it's also scary because those benefits were paying for my house and everything, and it's like I've got no backup. So I'm in this space where I'm just now, I'm like, well, I'm free, but where do I go with this? So
Oh, thank you, Michelle. I love that. I feel like it's so connected to what Taylor brought forward, and really what John, where you led us earlier, is like, let's look at this thing around fear. Let's look at how do we be with that with higher consciousness. So, Michelle, the first thing I'd like to do is to acknowledge out loud, and this is for everybody, which is all of us, every single person. We know the highest truth, and we still have something that conflicts with it, which is like, okay, I'm free and I know this works out, and actually I'm just sitting here scared because I don't know how this works out. Okay. And so imposing our highest knowing on that root or sort of foundational fear is actually a disservice. It's backward. I'm just going to say it. For me, it's backward. The first thing to do is to actually give full permission. And you may say, no, I'm okay. I realize this is, yeah, it's okay. I know it's scary. Yeah, but the human body's like, actually, it's not okay not to have a way to pay for my house. It's not okay not to know how this works out. It's actually not okay. It's too frightening. It creates all kinds of stress. And those are very real biological things we experience. And then if we're busy from another level of consciousness, which is actually for most of us not really that, it's just our minds saying, no, but we know that this all works out for our highest good. And our mind is the part that's trying to guide us through with this information that it knows. That actually just feels really not very loving, and certainly not compassionate and not understanding. It's like when we explain something to somebody and they just go, oh, no, you're fine. Just go to your highest self. It knows everything's perfect. And you're like, screw you. That's the kind of thing I don't want us to visit on ourselves anymore. All right. So in this, we just say, actually, this is too hard. This is really frightening. By the way, this is not dropping your vibration. This is not surrendering to fear. This is being honest and true and clear and compassionate. I was talking with a client today, and she's like, well, I feel like I keep being with this sadness. And I was like, I know. We feel like, how many times do I have to be with this sadness? Isn't it enough? As if love ever says, I've been kind and gentle enough, and I think you should be done with that by now, and you don't need that anymore. We do it as often as required. That's part of our holy, sacred task. So for you, Michelle, I would say, the reason I give all that information is simply to say to your body, to your mind, to your nervous system, to your field, that is a lot. And yes, while you were tremendously brave to jump, I see that it's really scary to free fall. And I want you to know that I see you. And so your body gets to hear this. And I honor that it is scary. It does not need to be different than scary. Scary is the most natural thing in the world to feel. Okay, so let's love on your beautiful cells that feel scared. Rightly so. They have reason. Okay? Nothing wrong with you for feeling scared. So this is where love in action meets it, right here at the human level. And again, I'm going to do a little bit of sound. I want to bring in, I do have these 3 bowls, but this one wants to play for you because it's ruby, and it's ruby with white light angel gold. And ruby is like this, it's both a stone of abundance and of speaking truth and of nobility and highest calling, but it's also very grounding. So I'm just going to do a little bit of ruby with this transmission for you. For everyone who feels like, I should know better, I shouldn't be afraid. Let's be here now with love. And if what's here now is afraid, let's be here now with love, with afraid. Oh, there we go. There we go. It's like opening up. I loved your blossom image, John. It's like this little flower of each of us within, and it goes, you mean there's sunshine here? Yeah, there is. There's light and warmth. We don't have to, we're not up in the harsh high Himalayas right now. We're down in warm sunny meadows. La, 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 la. Beautiful little one, I see you are afraid, and I know you are beautiful. Yes, there is a way. here. Your heart opens wide in the seeing. All of you is welcome here. And in this big wide open space, you rest, and the way begins to show, and you rest, and the way begins to show, and you rest, where it is gentle, where it is kind, where it is safe to be here now. And the way opens like so much clear sky for when we're ready to fly. Thank you, Michelle. We can never skip this piece. And we are called to do and be this love with this part of ourselves over and over and over. It's never too many times.
It's so
You're
wonderful.
welcome. Thank you for bringing that forward.
In the
Michelle, thank you
energy.
so much.
Thank you.
Mm.
Oh,
Mm.
so beautiful what's being transmitted. It's wow, I think it's serving us all so beautifully. Again, Michelle, thank you for bringing this in.
Mm.
There's a tenderness. It's so funny, Christine, and not funny. It's just to be in the experience of, again, that maternal energy, that mother energy coming in. And what you're transmitting, it's the mother energy, but not necessarily the mother energy. And there's a freedom to it.
Mhm.
It goes beyond the expectation of what mother should be.
Yes. Yes. You know, that was really gifted to me through into my field. I noticed that it came in actually after my mom passed. It really did, and it was part of that deep grief. It's that thing that you were saying. You know, we actually walk through life smiling and laughing, going yes, even in the midst of the deep challenges and losses, because the gift through the openness, through the willingness to meet it, through the surrender to what is, through the active choice of consciousness, through all those pieces, this huge gift of this energy that you're talking about really came in. And I just stand in awe of it. Again, I don't feel I'm the author of anything. It's being the vehicle. And I know I do my part. I do know that. I mean, I know that I practice, and I know that I show up in availability, and I partner with it consciously. I'm clear on that. And yet I'm just grateful. Yeah. And it feels like I'm so grateful it's here too, because I'm receiving it as well. You know, truly, it feels like I'm receiving it in my cells as well, just as it comes through. I don't know what it is. I mean, I think you're naming it very, very, quite precisely. And yet it also is ineffable. It's hard to name. And I just say yes to that too. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
Yes. Yes. And yes. Let's go to our next caller. Oh, this is so wonderful.
Mm.
All right, Pat, let's go to you. Welcome.
I just want to thank you, Christine, for your wonderful, wonderful energy and healing, your frequency, your wisdom. And I'm just in honor and thank you for this experience today. And my guidance is too, when I'm feeling fears or whatever, to breathe through my heart and send love. And that seems to neutralize it in time when it's ready to leave. But each day is a new journey and a new experience. And it's a day of learning to trust more, know my inner guidance. And I just wanted to thank you so much. I don't know if there's a message that you would like to give me.
Oh, yeah. You just lit up when you started speaking for me. I just was like, oh, you know, falling into that radiance of the field that is generating through you. And then also just sort of really, I would say just amplified an illumination when you spoke into, you know, today is a new day and a new journey and a deeper call to trust. And I love what you're pointing at. And I'm actually going to, I feel like if there's a message, is to reflection back to you of your wisdom and the guide and knowing that you are through and for your life. This is true for all of us. We are this that we seek. We are that masterful wisdom. We are all in process of, clearing our debris fields and removing any distortions or what we might think of as limitations. They're just interference, really. And so what I see for you as you say this, and I feel like you're bringing it forward as we're all in various process and place with this, is there's more. And as it deepens, it strengthens. As I choose, the knowing is given. And as I be, the way is shown. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Just to be in the present moment. That's my guidance too. There is no end. There's no beginning or end. And stay in the present moment. I had some strange dream experiences that didn't feel good, but I have to just let them be, let them go. And sometimes I call in the violet light or Angel Michael and Metatron and Saint Germain. I'm very connected with those angels.
Beautiful. I would also suggest calling in your ascended masterful self. This came in really clearly as you mentioned the dream circumstance, that there is actually what I see as being called forth in you is as a refinement of your own mastery. And so that's actually what you're calling on. That's actually the energy and the master that's being asked to greet this, whatever the disturbing image or piece is. And you're actually showing, interestingly, deep within your body, like down in the lower dantian and that root of the root and that 0 point of you. It feels like you're guiding yourself to something that you're really interested in accessing at a new level, and that the dream, okay, this is beautiful. Oftentimes the challenge shows up because if we would call it solution or next octave of consciousness or new awareness or empowered presence or whatever it is actually what's planted the quote issue or problem or challenge or dream or whatever to lead us to that. And that was the revelation that just came as in dialogue with you is, oh, yes, that's been put there to be your guide to this deeper mastery embodiment, and you stepping up. Oh, it's your calling. It's this calling. It's like this vibrational graduation up into this community that you love to call on. Okay, that as guides. I mean, that's really what I'm seeing and feeling, and that's and your soul's like. It's like leaping into it. Yeah.
Confirmation, because that's what I got in. I can be my master healer.
Yes. And this is your initiation. Yeah. And this is your initiation. I'm sorry, I'm jumping in, but it's going, yes. This is your initiation into that as you be in presence and relationship from that masterful self, which you're still finding your way to, which you may feel like you don't even know yet. That's what this circumstance is here for, is to bring that through and into your life. Perfect. Yes.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Christine. I'm so
honored. Likewise. Oh, it's beautiful.
I am so excited about this dream conversation, and everybody on the call, on the replays, whenever you listen to this, just pay attention. There's a lot that is being revealed to us, not for the subconscious of the dream, but from the multi-universe access that we have now. Yeah. So there's things that are shifting profoundly. I've been having these intense dreams over the last month and a half, 2 months. Yeah. And my father and mother kept showing up in a lot of them. And my father kept trying to say things, but nothing would come out, or he'd show up in particular ways that were old ways that I remembered him. And I was like, yeah, no, thank you. And then in my awakened state, it's like, wait, that actually has something to share with me, but I have these other things, stories built around that I don't have the ears to listen. Next time, and I just set the intention on how everyone wants to communicate it, I am open to receive, because I don't have to protect myself in the way that I thought I used to. He's evolved, as have I. Even if he were still alive, he still would have evolved.
Receive. Okay.
And he's trying to come in, but again, it's my history, my boundaries, my trauma
Mhm.
that are keeping the field shut. And it's beautiful just in the recognition of what wants to be translated
Mhm.
and my willingness to listen in ways that I haven't before. It's part of my both mastery and innocence. It's me stepping into the mastery, but the innocence of me to receive my Father's love simultaneously. It's
Yes.
profound.
And on the
It's-
lighter side, I did this for this just really wants to come in, you know, my beautiful cat Arabelle who died. And I said, hey, I haven't seen you for a while and I'd love it if you could show up in a dream. And then I don't recall having a dream, but then I'm in the liminal state and she audibly meows in the room and she gets through and she's like, meow, and it wakes me up, you know. And I was like, well, did you have to meow? You know, really? Can't you just like show up in a nice dream? And here, this is why this relates. And I thought, she probably showed up in 4, 5, 7 dreams and I didn't wake up and I didn't remember. And she's like, I'm doing everything I can to get through with you and you're not hearing me. So I got to be louder. Anyway, just, you know, what is it in my ears that weren't open or in wherever I was in my consciousness that was not available to her message? Thank God she found a way to get through. And the whole thing was so funny to me because, you know, we can't miss our messages ultimately. We can gain in awareness if we have missed the message, quote, missed the message. This is like going back all the way to Taylor. We can't actually miss our path, even if we feel like we made the wrong choice. We can go this way. We bring ourselves to that, like just like you're talking about, John, you're bringing yourself to that mastery and innocence, even if you couldn't hear the words in that moment. It's all perfect.
Oh my God, this is so amazing. I love this, Pat. Thank you for bringing in this conversation.
It was beautiful.
And for bringing in your energy as well. So beautiful to receive. All right,
It's an
y'all.
honor to be with you. And
Christine, we're going to get into, thank you, love.
Mhm.
So Christine, we promised to get into a transmission at the end of the calls. So I'd love to do that. And before we do though, I have to direct y'all, well, the replay is going to come back up and get into, my God, this energy running through today. Oh man, this consciousness running
We
through
love it,
today,
don't
the
we?
state of being, right?
Yeah.
That we're receiving here today is just so beautiful. So the replay is going to be up. Give us about an hour after the call, maybe a little bit longer. We'll send an email out for the replay, or you can always access them by going to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/replay. And then I have to direct you all back to Christine's offer. Again, with the live courses, the Power of Love Initiation, again, live beginning August 1st, 5 p.m. Pacific. By the way, replay is available. Clearing out the debris, activating your compassion and kindness for yourself, fortifying you in that love warrior energy, and so much more. Y'all can read the descriptions. This is going to be amazing. So you've got the 2 live courses, then you have the 9 modules also going into the 9-day energetic activation series, Pure Potential, Elevated Earth, Elevated Foundations, Elevated Communion, Elevated Self, Divine Love, Pure Expression, Pure Awareness, Pure Being, Pure Potential in those 9 days. And you know, this is powerful. And like Christine said, it's something that you can keep re-engaging with, or choose one if it's really resonating for you, and just really embody it as you go through. And then again, the other item, calming the nervous system and unhooking from collective trauma. How important is that? And that includes video and sound recordings. And it's all Christine. Right. It's all Christine and this energy and this purity of love that she brings through. So I hope you all take advantage of that. Again, it's $197. There's a 2-payment option on it as well. And again, it's really, truly a special offer. It's valued at over $444. I'd say it's valued even more, but again, we gave it a number, and you all take advantage of it. And with that, Christine, is it a good time to go into the transmission, into the frequency?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Beautiful.
You bet. Yeah. So actually, I just want to let you know, we do have citrine, which is going to be great for that solar plexus and the fear center and where that'll hit. That's going to be awesome. We've already met ruby. We also have Tibetan copper quartz. So that's that highest wisdom that we are coming right through. And these are the bowls that said, we want to play today. They're very specific. They're like, it's our turn. So here we go. And this is a transmission that I'm going to be tapping into each of you listening live and on the replay, and allowing the information. Let me just take a moment to have that door open, this reality unfold for us. And to allow that you are wishing to bring through from your highest wisdom to most greatly benefit you, your life, your body, your choices, your knowing, your health, your circumstances, all of it, any part, the highest wisdom of you that is interested, and that's the pure potential of you. It's the place where we're all the same. So we're tapping into that now, that divine field, that divine unity field, and you specifically, your individuated being through that, and what it would like to bring through for you to receive today from this transmission. And here we go. Whenever we forget, we remember to remember. Whenever we feel small, we remember we are all. Whenever we're tired, we have permission to rest in the lap of love. We are blessed. The only thing we need to know is what's here now. The only thing we need to know is here now. The only step we need to take is what's here now. The only love we need to be is now. You are free. We're free. Free to be freely now. Love is here, free now. Where is it you want to go? The way to get there is to be here.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Christine.
You're welcome. Thank
Thank you, Christine. Thank you, everybody, for being on the call, listening to the replay. It's wonderful to be in this expanded space with you. It's wonderful to co-create this together. It's with that I bow to each and every one of you in namaste. I look forward to seeing you on the next call. Good day. Christine, you're amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, everybody.